some of the stereotypes or characterizations of fellas or women who dress in a certain hard way. Yeah, they're not different. Like they also want to be encountered, to have their pain heard.
Exactly.
They want to be received without mockery.
No, because all of our behavior makes sense. Why we do what we do, like we're often a mystery unto ourselves, but when you sit down with the Lord and you look at, I've been thinking lately about what are the micro movements of my heart? Like before I get over here, whatever over here is, what are the micro movements of my heart? What am I believing? What's happening where I'm getting over to here, whatever that is? And it's like the movements of my heart, what is the Lord inviting there? What is happening within me? And all of our behavior ultimately makes sense. It all makes sense. If I sit with the Holy Spirit long enough, like we don't randomly do stuff, even why we love, what we hate, what we continue to go through for, even though we know it's not going to help us, we do that. Or the thing we double down on where we have you ever like in your heart said, okay, when you encounter that person, okay, I'm not going to do that thing. And then man, you do the thing. Or you say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to be humble here and let that person, whatever. And then you just find yourself having to be right again. You're like, what?
Yes.
What? It's, and then right there, so there's a micro movement. Whatever that is for you, I find myself over here. Well, what was happening? Like, Holy Spirit, show me what was happening at the very beginning. Was it fear? Was it, I'm afraid I'm going to take it? The Lord is so kind in how he opens up the movements of our heart. And so our behavior is never random. It actually all makes sense. I sit with so many people and hear stories. And even my own story, it's like, oh, when you share with me, whatever that is, whatever person's sharing, whether it's something very shameful for them or the thing they don't want to do anymore, whatever, it's like when you trace it back, all the micro movements of the heart, and what the person was believing and what they came through in childhood and kind of how they navigate their life. Like, that makes so much sense.
And what you're seeing when you listen to people is not a justification, but an explanation.
It is.
And those are two different things, but it's important to realize that, that I can see why you did that.
Exactly. Because then you can be encountered there in love versus if it's a justification, then, well, this is who I am. But no, that's not who we are. So what's happening that's sinful, that's broken, that's destroying you? And understanding that, and if we can bring the love of Christ to that place of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's brought into communion, that I don't need to do the thing anymore. But until I'm encountered in a love like that, I'm going to be probably self-defensive, or I'm just going to be like, it's okay, I'm just going to try harder. I'll just try harder. And we've all done the thing where instead of getting to the root of why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's okay, I'm just going to try harder. And but the heart is still hurting, the root is still hurting. So can we bring love and truth to the root and allow the root to be transformed? And that's where real love changes it.
Can you tell me more about what you said earlier about our defenses against the unlovely, and so it turns into judgment? Because I think I need to learn about that.
Well, it's beautiful.
By the way, I should say, I don't think I go around judging people any more than anybody else watching. I just think the Lord is making me aware of it.
Okay.
So I love Ephraim the Syrian. I have an icon of him up there. And there's this beautiful line in his prayer to the Holy Spirit, which I've repeated ad infinitum, that says, if I have made fun of my brother's sins when my own faults are countless.
Oh my
Isn't that glorious?
Yes.
And then the prayer that's prayed in great fast is, help me to see my own sin and not to judge my brethren.
Yeah.
Oof. But it's like social media is the opposite. Help me to point out the sin of my brother, so whatever light may have been directed at me gets pushed off for at least 5 more minutes, and I can be on the winning team that isn't criticized or something. No?
Yes. I can just feel that when you say that, like how maybe it's not on social media, but haven't we all done that?
I have. It's that bandwagon mentality where someone's down and I get to be the hero. I get to be part of the winning team kicking this guy. Yeah. And it's usually only till afterwards that you realize the horror of what you've done, perhaps. But I think a lot of it is that don't look at my stuff. Like, let it be about someone. Let it be about Joe Biden. Let it not be about me. Yeah, somebody else has to. Anyway.
Yeah, I think we have to be honest that we all have that tendency, and it's the fear of our own. Like we're afraid of. I really think so. So if you look in, I know you talked about this extensively with your guests, but if you go back to the garden and you look at Adam and Eve, and you look at their turning away from God. So there's a beautiful article. It's called "The Chastity of Jesus and the Refusal to Grasp." It's written by a French bishop, and they use it in a lot of seminaries. The chastity of Jesus and the refusal to grasp. And he says that the lie, actually, the sin took forth in their hearts first before they ever ate the fruit. It was the lie that God is an avaricious, self-serving master, and I have to grasp for what I get, and that he said the whole project of Satan is to defiliize us, to make us not sons, is to remove us from sonship. So you look at Adam and Eve, and you look at the lie that God doesn't love us, that he's holding out on us, that he's an avaricious, self-serving master. And so if I want happiness and autonomy or whatever God, I'm going to be like God. So I have to get it on my own. And from that, the fragmentation of the intellect, the will, the passions, all the fragmentations of within, with each other, with God, with creation. And then you look at Adam, and Adam and Eve make fig leaves for themselves, which I think all of us have a whole closet of fig leaves that we pull out for different occasions. And God comes in search of them, like he comes in search of you and I every day. And he says to them in such kindness, I think to be very careful about assigning a tone of voice to God. But he comes to them and he says, where are you? Now, where are you? Like, isn't that interesting? Like, oh, like your parents, where are you? Or like, where are you? That's a very different.
Yeah.
And Adam says, I was naked, so I hid myself. I was afraid. I heard your presence in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked, and so I hid. And that, Matt, I really believe is the micro movement of every one of our hearts when we are afraid of, when we're afraid of our sin. We hear God's presence, and so we're like, uh-oh, I'm going to be called out here. I'm going to be found unlovable. He's going to find out that I'm naked. So we hide ourselves. We hide ourselves in judgments and criticisms to stave away things. And so we try to make fig leaves on our own. And then we start blaming people. But it's like, I'm afraid God's going to see my nakedness. And to me, nakedness is unlovable. And so something that I've been sharing with people lately that many times I see people have questions about is I believe most of us spend most of our lives running away from our sorrowful mysteries because we're afraid of the pain they contain, and we're afraid of what we think they mean. And when I talk about sorrowful mysteries, I'm talking about the mysteries of our life where love has been withheld or withdrawn. So if it's true, the Paschal mystery, Christ comes to reconcile everything to the Father, like St. Paul says, then God is taking every single thing in your life and my life, and he's reconciling it to the Father. So his Paschal mystery is taking his own life, death, and resurrection, his suffering, his ascension, and he's taking that and he's bringing it into our life, and he's taking everything and bringing it into his. So it's total union with God. It's everything in there's nothing outside of the mystery of God. And so like Jesus has sorrowful mysteries, you and I have sorrowful mysteries. And we're afraid of our sorrowful mysteries. We're afraid of, because we think, and I know many times in my own life, I've thought my sorrowful mysteries mean that I'm unlovable, that nobody cares about me, that I'm all alone, that I'm not worth spending time with, whatever that is for us.
What would it mean if I know this is a strange question, what would it mean if you were? Because that's the fear, that
Yes.
I'm actually unlovable. What would it mean if you were ultimately unlovable? How would the person react?
I think for us, I think I've read this and I believe it's true. The deepest human fear is abandonment and annihilation, like ceasing to exist, like a total, complete annihilation of who we are. And I think our fear is that if I get to the bottom of this, whatever the sorrowful mystery is, I really will be all alone and I will cease to exist, like a total, like anti-God, like, because God is being itself, right? He's being himself. And so it'll be like a total absence of everything. And so our fear is, if I get to the very, very bottom of this, the truth is I will be all alone.
So I understand that bit. That makes sense to me. The fear to not exist, I'd like explained, because to me, that's what we want when we believe we might all be all alone, that maybe dissociation is a way to not exist for 20 minutes or for a longer period of time. And so what does that mean? Because I would rather cease to exist, I think, than to be alone and unloved forever. Do you see what I mean?
That's a great nuance. I would have to pray about that, because I think to me, when I feel that, or when I experience that in my own self, I experience that in my own heart and people that I walk with, it's like the darkness to me. It's like the complete absence of everything. And I to me, it's like even the desire. So dissociation really is one of the ways, it's part of our brain, the way that God made us, in kindness, right? When there's too much trauma, our brain just shuts down. It's actually a kindness of the Lord. And it can be a mechanism where we keep, things at a distance. But to act, I just think it was because it's like a real-time conversation. So like, what does that feel like to me? What do I think about that is, it's like this active thing where I don't want to feel, I don't want to exist. And so to pull myself away, to me, that's a way of trying to medicate my pain, because the pain, so if I do exist, then I'm seen, and then I'm loved, and then what does that mean? And what does that mean for my suffering? And what does that mean for my goodness? And so that's just my own experience as we talk about that.
Thanks very much for watching that clip. You can click the link below if you want to watch the full interview, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.